We were never meant to spend our days fueling our minds with endless content. Combat the content machine and be countercultural by consuming art. Hey guys, thanks so much for being here. My name is Rachel, and if you're new to this channel, I enjoy talking about stories, so books, movies that I love, but also I like doing this type of commentary video and a bit of analysis, a bit of just my thoughts about the state of storytelling today and the way that we're telling stories and what it means for our worldview and our perspectives on life. And so if that sounds interesting to you, please go ahead and like and subscribe to this channel, and hopefully we'll get to have much more conversations similar to this one. So content creation is projected to reach $1 trillion in revenue by 2027, which is fascinating to me, especially with the whole conversation about doom scrolling and brain rot becoming more and more prevalent. And you'd think the term brain rot would be enough to scare people away, but it's actually becoming more of a joke. I feel like in my day-to-day conversations with people, the term brain rot is thrown around as like a funny term, like I scrolled a little bit to take the edge off, or I wasted 2 hours on brain rot, or just give me a minute, I need to go like brain rot for a second. This isn't a laughing matter. In 2024, Oxford University Press actually named the word brain rot as its word of the year due to rising concerns over this topic. And the data supports that concern. The American Heart Association published a study showing that teens, adolescents experience symptoms like ADHD, depression, anxiety, and even physical symptoms like nausea and pain because of their time using screens. So while our brains aren't literally rotting, the physical and mental consequences are very real. I don't think I need to list all the ways in which social media can do us harm. I think we all are very aware of those. But there are a few points that I want to bring up just for the sake of this conversation. The problem isn't just how long we're on the phone, it's also what we do while we're using our phone. I saw an article that said Gen Z is on their phone for around 9 hours a day. 9 hours. But I wanted to know, what are we doing on our phones for all this time? Now, I couldn't find an exact study with that data, but I did find something that said 65% of users only use their phone for social media, which is very telling. And let's be real, social media is not social. You're not having a conversation with the influencers you're watching on Reels. It is a one-way lecture from them to you. There's no exchange of meaning or ideas. And if we are having conversations in the comments, it is void of so many of the things that make our conversations valuable, like body language and the ability to make real-time arguments. Outside of all that, 90% of what you see on social media is an advertisement. Algorithms are built to keep you scrolling, and businesses pay top dollar to stay in your feed. So the result is not your connection with the world. It is you being stuck in a cycle, consuming what advertisers want you to consume. So all this to say, in the attention economy, content is the vehicle by which businesses get their products sold, and algorithms keep you scrolling. And I'm not trying to say that the problem is content creators or influencers. The problem is that at the heart of what they are creating is not an authentic expression of their creativity. We are being fed cheap, inauthentic entertainment as opposed to real art. And that's what's at the heart of the issue. Lately, I've been thinking that the word content doesn't even just describe what's on social media anymore. I feel like it has expanded to all forms of entertainment. It feels like so many modern books and movies were just created to fill some sort of gap in the market, and the streaming era has made that way worse. If you watch my other video where I talked about why everything is a remake right now, you'll know that due to the availability of movies because of the streaming era, audiences just want to be fed more and more and more. Therefore, the companies that are producing these films are always quick to make the content to fill that gap. And these productions are oftentimes going to be very cheap and often very low quality. So when I say content, I really mean anything that was made for the sole purpose of making money. And the result that we've seen in these types of movies that are being made are like what an alien would describe to its fellow aliens that human movies look like. Like, it is truly soulless and kind of disturbing. And this happens with books too. They're being created to either capitalize on a trend or fill a gap in the current media landscape. And at first glance, it seems harmless, right? Why should we complain about the film industry getting more jobs or more people reading books that they enjoy? I just think that something incredibly vital is being lost in the process. For all of history, humans have used art to express their humanity and their awe and worship of God. We need art, and not just in a soul-nourishing way. Art preserves our history, shapes our culture, and develops our thinking. When I look at a painting like The Execution of Lady Jane Grey by Paul Delaroche, I am struck by the insanely tender and vulnerable moment of a young martyr taking her stand at the butcher's block, or looking at the migrant mother photographed by Dorothea Lange. You feel the weight of the Great Depression in this one captured image. These are powerfully moving works of art, and through these works of art, we're reminded of our shared humanity. I think a huge reason why books and movies feel so hollow today is that the creators are asking themselves the question, what formula can I use to create the most profitable product, instead of saying, I have a story inside of me that I need to tell. How can I tell it to the best of my ability? When I think of true masters of their craft, like Steven Spielberg, Jane Austen, J.R.R. Tolkien, what unites them is their passion for the craft, not their desire to make a profit. And of course, they did make a profit, right? They were able to sell their works, but that wasn't the sole reason they were doing it. Now, J.R.R. Tolkien had a really interesting perspective when it came to the creation of art, and I want to share it with you because this was something that really inspired me. And J.R.R. Tolkien was a Christian. I am as well, so of course this really resonates with me. But in his poem Mythopoeia, he explains the importance of fairy tales as a form of truth. And he says, "Man, sub-creator, the refracted light, through whom is splintered from a single white to many hues and endlessly combined in living shapes that move from mind to mind." We create as a reflection of our creator God. And now Tolkien lived in a time that was kind of similar to ours in the sense that they really valued practicality over everyday beauty. Today, profit margins dictate what is practical even in the world of artistry. And all too often that means the most emotive and personal and powerful stories get pushed to the sidelines. In doing so, we could be losing some really incredible works, and that's just a shame. So when I read a book that makes me face the uncomfortable obsession that culture has with youth and beauty, like The Picture of Dorian Gray, I can't help but think about it for weeks on end, and also reflect on my own personal struggles with vanity. Or when I watch a film like Schindler's List, I can't help but feel empathetic and brokenhearted for people who have lived in a incredibly difficult and heartbreaking time that shows both the brutality and the evil that men are capable of, but also the resilience of the human spirit. All this to say, the antidote for brain rot is art. If you feed yourself a diet of art, whether that is a Studio Ghibli film or a classic novel or a really well-written work of modern fiction, or even if it's a Instagram creator that really values storytelling over sales, you will be able to lift the fog of our bloated consumerist culture. You'll start to feel a little bit more grounded and maybe a lot less overwhelmed. And when you choose to read old works of fiction and watch old movies and take part in the vast history of art that is available to us, you'll be immersed in the greater story of humanity by enjoying thousands of years worth of creative expression. So if you feel disappointed, overwhelmed, depressed, and anxious about the state of media today, consume art, not content. Go enjoy some good stories and aspire to think well about them. I'll see you next time. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is definitely a little bit more of a serious video. I'll have some more fun ones coming out, maybe, if you like the fun ones. I'm just feeling introspective this week. But I wanted to say that I have a link in my bio to an Etsy store. And on that Etsy store is a shirt with a design that my sister and I collaborated on. But my sister's a graphic designer and she did an amazing job designing this shirt. So if you're looking for a gift for Christmas for a book lover in your life, maybe go check it out. I ordered one for myself and it's really comfortable. So go and check out that link if that sounds interesting to you. And again, I appreciate you guys so much. All right, bye.